20 tree vegetables. These veggies grow like fruit. Plant once, eat forever. What if I told you that some vegetables don't actually die after one season? While your neighbors are out there every single spring, spending hundreds of dollars replanting their entire vegetable garden from scratch. There's a secret category of vegetables that behave exactly like apple trees. You plant them once, and they keep producing food year after year after year. Some for 5 years, some for 10, and a few of them will literally outlive your mortgage. I'm talking about vegetables that laugh at winter, come back stronger every season, and turn your garden into a permanent food factory that runs itself. The crazy part? Most gardeners have absolutely no idea these even exist. The seed companies definitely don't want you to know about them because you can't sell new seeds every year to someone growing crops that never die. Stay with me, because number 18 on this list can live for 20 years and grows 12 feet tall like an actual tree, producing edible leaves year-round. And number 5 literally walks across your garden and plants itself in new spots. This is going to completely change how you think about vegetable gardening. Hey everyone, welcome back to Nature and Green Focus. If you're new here, this channel is all about growing smart, not hard. We're focused on practical ways to grow more food with less work and less money. If that sounds like your kind of gardening, smash that subscribe button right now and hit the notification bell. We're dropping videos like this every single week about budget-friendly gardening secrets that actually work. Plus, it's completely free and it helps this channel reach more people who need these tips. And do me a favor, if you're serious about saving money and creating a garden that practically runs itself, hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps. Alright, let's talk about these incredible tree vegetables. So here's what's really happening. Most of us were taught that vegetables are annuals. You plant them in spring, they grow all summer. You harvest in fall, and then they die. Next year, you start the whole expensive cycle over again. It's like being trapped in this endless loop of spending money at the garden center, preparing beds from scratch, and doing the exact same work every single year. But what if I told you that entire system is just unnecessary? There's a whole category of vegetables that behave exactly like fruit trees. You plant them once, and they keep producing food year after year after year. These are perennial vegetables, and they're about to become your garden's best investment. Now, I'm not talking about some exotic, hard-to-find plants that require special soil imported from the mountains of Tibet. I'm talking about vegetables you've probably eaten before, vegetables sitting in grocery stores right now, but nobody told you that you could plant them once and completely forget about. The annual replanting circus. These vegetables are going to save you hundreds of dollars over the years and turn your garden from an annual expense into a permanent food source. Before we jump in, drop a comment right now and tell me how much money you spent on vegetable seeds and seedlings last year. Be honest. I want to show you what you could be saving. Plant 1. Asparagus. Let's start with the heavyweight champion of perennial vegetables, asparagus. Plant asparagus crowns once, and they'll produce for 20 to 25 years. Yes, you heard that right. 2 decades of fresh asparagus from one planting session. Now here's the thing, and I'm going to be straight with you. Asparagus makes you wait. The first year, you don't harvest anything. You let it grow and establish. The second year, you barely touch it, maybe harvest for a week or 2. But by year 3, you're harvesting delicious spears every spring for the next 2 decades. It's like putting money in a savings account that pays you back in vegetables. Think about it. One afternoon of planting asparagus crowns could give you literally hundreds of pounds of asparagus over its lifetime. Asparagus loves full sun and well-drained soil. It's cold hardy, drought-tolerant once established, and requires almost no maintenance after the first few years. You plant it once, be patient for 2 years, and then enjoy a harvest that keeps coming back like clockwork. If you only plant one perennial vegetable this year, make it asparagus. The return on investment is absolutely unbeatable. Plant 2. Rhubarb. Number 2 is rhubarb. People always think rhubarb is a fruit because we make pies with it, but it's actually a vegetable. And it's ridiculously tough. Rhubarb survives freezing winters without any protection. It comes back every spring with those beautiful red and green stalks, and it produces for 15 to 20 years minimum. Some rhubarb plants have been documented producing for over 50 years. You plant 1 rhubarb crown, and you're set for decades of pies, jams, sauces, and compotes. The best part? Rhubarb actually needs cold winters to thrive. So if you live in a cooler climate where other perennials struggle, rhubarb is your absolute best friend. It grows in partial shade, tolerates poor soil, and basically takes care of itself once established. The only thing you need to remember is that the leaves are toxic, but those stalks are pure gold for cooking. One plant can produce 5 to 10 pounds of stalks every year for 2 decades. Do the math on what that would cost you at the grocery store. Plant 3. Artichokes. Number 3 is artichokes. These plants look like something out of a fantasy garden with their silvery blue foliage and massive flower buds. In warmer climates, zones 7 and above, artichokes are completely perennial. They come back year after year, producing those gorgeous flower buds that we harvest and eat. Each plant can produce dozens of artichokes per season, and they keep going for 5 to 7 years. Even if you're in a colder zone, you can grow them as perennials with some winter protection. Mulch them heavily, and they'll often survive. Artichokes are impressive, absolutely delicious, and they'll make your garden look stunning. They grow 4 to 5 feet tall and wide, so they make a real statement. One established artichoke plant is basically a living sculpture that also feeds you. The harvest alone from one plant can be worth $50 to $100 per year at grocery store prices. Plant 3 or 4, and you're looking at serious food production. Before I tell you about number 4, which has a tangy lemon flavor and is virtually indestructible, I want to know something. Have any of you already grown perennial vegetables? Drop a comment and tell me which ones. I'm curious what experience you already have with these. Plant 4. Sorrel. Number 4 is sorrel. This is one of those vegetables most people have never heard of. But once you grow it, you'll wonder why it's not in every single garden. Sorrel is a leafy green with this bright, tangy, lemony flavor that's absolutely perfect for salads and soups. It adds this fresh acidity that wakes up any dish. Sorrel is virtually indestructible. It grows in partial shade, which makes it perfect for spots where other vegetables struggle. It tolerates poor soil. It comes back every single year for about 6 years or more. Some plants keep producing for over a decade. You plant it once, and you have fresh salad greens from early spring through fall, year after year after year. It's like having a salad bar in your garden that never closes. The leaves are incredibly nutritious, packed with vitamin C and antioxidants. And the plant requires zero maintenance. You just harvest outer leaves as needed, and new ones keep growing from the center. Plant 5. Egyptian walking onions. Number 5 is where things get absolutely weird and wonderful. Egyptian walking onions are perennial onions that literally walk across your garden. Let me explain how this works, because it sounds made up. These onions grow little bulbs at the top of their stalks instead of flowers. Those bulbs get heavy as they mature. The stalk can't support the weight, so it bends over and touches the ground. And then those bulbs plant themselves in a new spot a few feet away from the mother plant. It's like your onions are migrating across your garden bed on their own. You can harvest both the underground bulbs and the topset bulbs, and they keep multiplying forever. You plant them once, and you'll never buy onions again. Plus, they're a total conversation starter when visitors see them because they're just bizarre and amazing. The onions have a mild flavor, perfect for cooking or eating fresh, and the greens are edible too, working just like scallions. Plant 6. Lovage. Number 6 is lovage. Think of lovage like celery's overachieving cousin. It tastes like celery but grows as this massive perennial herb that comes back bigger and stronger every single year. You can use the leaves, stems, and seeds for cooking. Anywhere you'd use celery, you can use lovage. But here's the thing. One plant is usually enough for an entire family because it grows absolutely huge. We're talking 4 to 6 feet tall. Lovage is hardy, requires almost no maintenance, and lives for decades. Seriously, there are lovage plants out there older than most people watching this video. It grows in full sun or partial shade, tolerates poor soil, and produces continuously from spring through fall. The flavor is intense, so a little goes a long way in soups, stocks, and salads. Plant it once, and your great-grandchildren might still be harvesting from it. That's not an exaggeration. Lovage can live for 30 to 40 years. Quick pause here. If you're realizing you've been wasting money on annual vegetables when you could be growing these permanent food sources, make sure you're subscribed to Nature and Green Focus. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss our weekly videos. Plant 7. Watercress. Number 7 is watercress. This perennial thrives in wet conditions that would kill most other vegetables. If you have a boggy area in your yard where nothing else will grow, watercress will absolutely thrive there. It loves having its feet wet, so you can grow it along stream edges, in containers with standing water, or in any consistently moist spot. Watercress is packed with nutrients. It's got this peppery bite that makes salads interesting and adds flavor to sandwiches and soups. and it grows like crazy once established. The best part? You can keep harvesting it, and it keeps growing back. It's perennial in mild climates and will self-seed in colder areas, meaning it basically acts perennial even when it technically isn't. One small watercress planting can turn into a massive patch within a year or two, giving you continuous harvests. Plant 8. Sea kale. Number 8 is sea kale. This is one of those vegetables that sounds fancy but is actually super easy to grow. Sea kale is a true perennial that produces tender shoots in spring that taste similar to asparagus. The shoots are blanched under pots to keep them white and tender, then harvested when they're about 6 to 8 inches long. But sea kale is also extremely ornamental with its blue-green leaves and clusters of white flowers, so it pulls double duty as both food and garden decoration. You could plant it in your front yard and neighbors would think it's just a pretty perennial flower. It's drought-tolerant once established, pest-resistant, and will produce for you for about 8 to 10 years. Plant it in a sunny spot with good drainage, and you're basically done. It takes care of itself after that. Plant 9. Good King. Henry number 9 is Good King Henry. This is an old-fashioned perennial vegetable that's making a comeback, and for good reason. Good King Henry produces edible leaves similar to spinach, edible shoots similar to asparagus, and edible flower buds. It's like 3 vegetables in one plant, and it's completely perennial. It tolerates shade better than most vegetables, which is huge. If you have a partially shaded area where lettuce won't grow well, Good King Henry will thrive there. This vegetable has been grown in European cottage gardens for centuries. It was a staple food in medieval times, then mysteriously fell out of favor. But it's exactly the kind of low-maintenance, high-production perennial that modern gardeners need. It comes back reliably every year for a decade or more. You harvest the young shoots in spring like asparagus, then harvest the leaves throughout summer like spinach. One plant gives you multiple harvests across the entire growing season. Plant 10. Turkish Rocket. Number 10 is Turkish Rocket, also called Turkish arugula. If you love that peppery arugula flavor but hate replanting it every few weeks because it bolts in the heat, Turkish Rocket is your answer. This is a true perennial version of arugula. It produces leaves almost year-round in mild climates. In colder areas, it dies back in winter, but returns reliably every spring. The leaves are slightly more intense and peppery than annual arugula, but they're perfect for salads, on pizza, in pasta dishes, anywhere you'd use regular arugula. The plant is essentially unkillable once established. It tolerates heat, cold, drought, poor soil. It self-sows if you let it flower, creating more plants without any effort from you. We're halfway through, and the next 10 are even more impressive. Number 18 grows into an actual tree that can live for 20 years and produce edible leaves every single day. Stay tuned for that one, because it's absolutely mind-blowing. Plant 11. Caucasian spinach. Number 11 is Caucasian spinach. This is a climbing perennial that produces spinach-like leaves on vigorous vines. You grow it on a trellis or fence, and it'll produce fresh greens from spring through fall. It's heat-tolerant, which means it keeps producing even when regular spinach would bolt and turn bitter in summer heat. The plant dies back in winter, but returns from its roots every spring. It's productive, space-efficient because it grows vertically, and completely hassle-free once established. One plant can give you pounds and pounds of greens across multiple harvests, and it'll keep doing that year after year. Plant 12. Daubenton's kale. Number 12 is Daubenton's kale. Most kale is biennial, meaning it lives 2 years then dies. But Daubenton's kale is truly perennial. This variety doesn't produce seeds, so all of its energy goes into producing leaves. You can harvest from it almost year-round, and it keeps going for years. The leaves are tender, delicious, and packed with nutrients. Plus, you can propagate it from cuttings, which means one plant can turn into an entire kale forest if you want to. Expand your planting. It's virtually pest-free compared to regular kale. It handles cold weather like a champion, and it just keeps producing leaves no matter what you throw at it. Plant 13. 9-star perennial broccoli. Number 13 is 9-star perennial broccoli. Yes, perennial broccoli actually exists, and 9-star is the variety you want to grow. This plant produces multiple small broccoli heads instead of one large central head, and it keeps producing for about 5 years. The heads are white or cream-colored, tasting like a cross between broccoli and cauliflower. It's slower to establish than annual broccoli. You won't get a huge harvest the first year, but once it gets going in year 2 and 3, you're harvesting broccoli every single year without replanting. For broccoli lovers, this is an absolute game changer. Imagine never having to start broccoli from seed again, never having to deal with cabbage worms destroying your plants every year. You just have this permanent broccoli plant that keeps producing. Plant 14. Chives. Number 14 is chives. These are so common that people forget they're perennial, but they absolutely are. Plant chives once, and they'll divide and multiply in your garden forever. You get fresh onion-flavored greens almost year-round, plus beautiful purple flowers in spring that are also edible. Chives are perfect for containers if you don't have much garden space. They work as garden borders. They're excellent companion plants that repel pests from other vegetables. They require literally zero maintenance and will outlive you if you let them. I've seen chives that have been growing in the same spot for 20, 30, even 40 years. Plant 15. Garlic chives. Number 15 is garlic chives, similar to regular chives but with a garlic flavor instead of onion. Garlic chives produce flat leaves and white flowers, and they're just as perennial and low maintenance as regular chives. The difference? They're actually more heat tolerant and prefer warmer weather. You can harvest the leaves, the flowers, and even the flower buds. They're productive, flavorful, and they'll naturalize in your garden, meaning they'll spread and fill in empty spaces on their own. The flowers are edible and beautiful, making them perfect for garnishing dishes or adding to salads. Let me rapid fire through the next 3 because they're all absolute powerhouses. Number 16. Horseradish. This is the perennial that won't quit. Plant one root and you'll have horseradish forever. The bigger problem is actually stopping it from taking over your entire garden. The roots are what you harvest for that spicy condiment that clears your sinuses. It requires absolutely no care, tolerates poor soil, and once it's established, it's there for life. Number 17. Jerusalem artichokes, also called sunchokes. These are perennial tubers that taste nutty and slightly sweet. They grow tall like sunflowers, produce edible tubers underground, and multiply like crazy. Plant a few tubers and they'll spread aggressively. They're beautiful with bright yellow flowers in late summer, and they're ridiculously productive. The only warning, plant them where you don't mind them spreading. Number 18. And here's the one I've been teasing. Tree collards. These are absolutely mind-blowing. Tree collards are perennial brassicas that grow into small trees, producing edible leaves year-round in mild climates. They can live for 10 to 20 years, growing up to 12 feet tall. You keep harvesting leaves, and they keep producing more. They don't produce seeds, so you propagate them from cuttings, which means every tree collard is essentially a clone of an ancient plant that's been kept alive through cuttings for potentially hundreds of years. Plants 19 to 20. Number 19. Wild ramps. If you're into foraging culture, you know ramps are worth their weight in gold. These perennial wild leeks have a devoted following because of their unique garlic onion flavor. Ramps prefer shade and moist soil, making them perfect for woodland gardens. They grow slowly from seed, but once established, they form permanent colonies that produce every spring. Once you have ramps, you're part of this exclusive club of gardeners who grow one of the most sought-after wild vegetables. Chefs pay premium prices for ramps, so you could even make money from them if you wanted. Number 20. Globe artichokes. Similar to the regular artichokes I mentioned earlier, but worth mentioning separately because of their incredible reliability in Mediterranean climates. Globe artichokes establish deep root systems, making them drought-tolerant once they're settled in. In the right climate, these plants become massive, productive fixtures in the garden. One plant can yield up to 30 artichokes in a season, and they'll keep producing for a decade if you treat them right. That's hundreds of artichokes from a single plant. So there you have it, 20 vegetables that completely change the game. Instead of spending money every single year on seeds and seedlings, you invest once and harvest for years, sometimes decades. This is how you build a truly sustainable, budget-friendly garden that works for you instead of you constantly working for it. Here's my challenge to you. Pick just 3 of these perennial vegetables and commit to planting them this season. Just 3. Watch what happens over the next few years as those plants establish and start producing food without you having to replant them. That's how you transform your garden from an annual expense into a permanent food source. Think about the money you'll save. Think about the time you'll save not starting seeds indoors every spring, not transplanting seedlings, not replanting the same vegetables year after year. These perennial vegetables are investments that keep paying you back in food, year after year after year. If this video opened your eyes to a whole new way of gardening, do me 3 favors. First, smash that like button so more people can discover this information. Second, share this video with a friend who's always complaining about gardening costs. And third, subscribe to Nature and Green Focus if you haven't already, because we're building a community of smart gardeners who refuse to waste money on things they don't need. Drop a comment below and tell me which perennial vegetable you're most excited to try. Are you going for asparagus, the 20-year investment? Tree collards that literally grow into trees? Or maybe those weird Egyptian walking onions that plant themselves? I genuinely want to know what you're planning to grow. I read every single comment. Until next time, keep growing smart, keep growing affordable, and remember, the best gardens are the ones that take care of themselves. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.